Hey there, everyone. Welcome in. The doctor is in, and we are about to continue Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, Trials and Tribulations, The Stolen Turnabout. That is a mouthful, my goodness. All right. Let's pull this window over so I can see the chat.
I would make a joke, but I don't know if there's any right ones.
You almost had an edge worth of a pun there.
Thank you.
My sense of humor is not what it should be, I think. But who am I to judge?
That's me laughing.
This has been our latest pearl of wisdom for you. I could go on, but I don't want to be a dick. Gumshoe. Gumshoe, that is. Okay, I know that's...
That was borderline.
It was.
How dare you? This is a family-friendly stream.
I had to make a pun somehow with him. And that was the best one I could have, because how do you make a pun out of gumshoe?
It's very sticky.
That's just a joke. That's not a pun.
Sorry, I didn't mean to yell.
Yeah. You're fine. Hey, Nick! What is it this time? You won't believe how many people are here for the trial. Well, it is a murder case. What are you talking about? They're here for the trial next door. Next door? Why don't you know this, Nick? They're having Detective Atmey's trial today. Detective Atmey? Metal Gear. Ugh. That's what feels like he's solid snaking through the dialogue here. Oh, right. It sounds quieter because we've got both headsets plugged in. Duh. Okay. We're good. They say they're going to try him as Mask to Mask. Already? That was fast. Boy, I'd love to see Mask to Mask's trial. Who's this? I know. By the way, where's Pearls? Oh, she went back home. She said she can't neglect her training anymore. I know you don't like me. Who's talking? Pearls has really gotten into her training lately, huh? Yeah, ever since that incident last year. Please don't ignore me! Oh, Mr. Delight, good morning. No one likes me. No one would notice me even if I killed someone. Come on, don't be silly. But wait a sec. You don't mean you're the murderer? No, I'm just a poor thief. No, wait, that's not right. A thief can't really be poor. Well, if your wife spends money like it's fallen out of heaven, well, then that is one way you can be poor and a thief at the same time. Now, let's see. According to Mr. Delight, from his second crime on, he was following a bunch of set plans. Plans that someone had been sending to him to help him commit the heists. Do you really think there's a connection between the thief and the murder, Nick? It's possible. But today's trial is a race against the clock. Huh? How come? Let's just take our time like always. I'm afraid that's not an option.
Court is now in session for the trial of Mr. Ron Delight.
The defense is ready, Your Honor. You're ready. Preparation is the last refuge of the weak.
Okay, settle down, everyone. Let's begin with your opening statement, Mr. Godot.
He's got the judge in the palm of his hand. Yet again. I mean, let's be real here. Isn't that kind of the case with all the prosecutors? Also, just because I can. Sending this to the chat. Ron Delight is simply too young to be sent to war, that's all. Sorry, guys. I have a little bit of a frog in my throat all of a sudden. I'm gonna mute myself. There we go.
I'm afraid I have no idea what that means, Mr. Godot.
Ah, then you need to get out more, Your Honor. Life is war, but that is exactly why you must be more precise in your wording. That's all my statement means. You understand now, right?
Yes. Well then, now let me briefly summarize the details of this case.
Welcome in, Shadow Knight. How are you? Wow, the judge is taking charge like he knows what's going on for a change.
The victim is Kane Bullard, CEO of KB Security. His body was found in a safe at approximately 9 a.m. on the morning of the 13th. However, the time of death was estimated as 1 a.m. of the previous day.
And that's when our little lost kitten dropped the ball. That little lost kitten is, of course, the defendant.
Very well then, Mr. Godot. Please call your first witness.
I never drink more than 17 cups of coffee during any given trial. But the first one is always the best.
17 cups of coffee. Is he okay? Is his heart okay?
I mean, he's returned from the depths of hell to do battle with Phoenix Wright. The coffee may be the thing that's keeping him from going back. I don't know.
Blood pressure needs to be checked.
Good to see you're doing well. Good to see you doing well, Shadow Knight.
Mr. Godot, your witness.
Okay, then. Let's hear what the defendant, Mr. Ron Delight, has to say for himself.
The defendant? Well, Mr. Wright, does the defense have any objections? It may be a bit of a disadvantage having the defendant testify, but...
I remember when Mia was defending me. She allowed me to testify so she could do the cross-examination. She put a lot of trust in me back then. We have no objections, Your Honor. The defense will allow Mr. Delight to testify. Ha! You've got guts, Trite.
All right then, Mr. Ron Delight, please take the stand.
You did it, didn't you?
Yes.
What?
No, that's not true. For a moment there, I thought we'd set the record for the shortest trial ever.
Well, Mr. Delight already looks plenty guilty with that face he's making. And once he opens his big mouth, he'll probably put the last nail in his own coffin. Ha! Very well. Now then, can you tell me something? If you didn't kill Bullard, why did you go to KB Security?
Well, that's kind of hard to say. Boy, I wish I could go home.
Now then, let's hear some testimony about what happened.
That evening, around 1 a.m., I went to see Mr. Bullard at his office in KB Security. The blackmail letter I got, it ordered me to go there. I'd been working for KB Security until a year ago, so I knew where his office was.
1 a.m., the exact time the murder took place.
The weak get washed away by the tides of fate. The strong drink it up. Ha! It's bitter today, too, just like my destiny.
You'd never know that from the way he was chugging it down.
Mr. Wright, your cross-examination, if you please.
He didn't really say a lot during this one.
That evening, around 1 a.m., I went to see Mr. Bullard in his office at KB Security.
1 a.m., huh? You're absolutely sure about that?
Yes, that's what my watch said when I was entering the CEO's office. No, actually, I'm not really sure. My watch was slow, and my internal clock was also a bit...
1 a.m. That's the exact time the victim, Mr. Bullard, was murdered, correct?
It's too late for a coffee date, that's for sure. You'd make one at 1 a.m., though, wouldn't you, Godot?
The blackmail letter I got, it ordered me to go there.
Did it? Okay, I gotta look at this. Hold on. Blackmail letter. If you don't want your true identity revealed to the world, come to KB Security at 1 a.m. on October 12th and bring $50,000. If you don't, I'll take that red diamond you received the other day instead. Okay. It ordered you there?
It was the first time I'd gotten a blackmail letter that ordered me to go somewhere.
Does that mean you've gotten other blackmail letters then?
Oh, of course. They'd say things like, steal this, or take that.
Why don't you save this for later, Mr. Light? Please don't say any more. Now, what should I do? Press harder. So, what did the blackmail letter in question say?
It said to bring $50,000.
Money, eh? Perfect motive for committing murder.
Oh, but wait! I never intended to pay that money anyway.
Oh? Is that right?
After all, he had nothing to hold over my head. I had nothing to be afraid of.
An important point indeed. Witness, let's have that added to your testimony.
Yes, sir.
Ha! A muddy mud skipper in outer space has a better chance of surviving than I do.
The blackmail threat didn't scare me. It wasn't going to cause me trouble or anything.
Then why did you go? Just what were you being blackmailed about anyway?
The blackmail letter said if you don't want your identity revealed, correct?
I'm sure it was referring to the whole mask-to-mask thing. But I wasn't worried. Mr. Bullard didn't have anything on me.
He didn't?
Anyway, I don't care what anyone says about me. Just as long as Desi believes in me.
So that's why Miss Delight didn't believe he was mask to mask.
That's why I knew they were just hollow threats. I've been working for KB Security until a year ago, so I knew where his office was.
You used to be a security chief for KB Security, right?
Yes, that's right.
A security chief? You?
And yet, a year ago, you were fired without notice. Revenge for an old grudge? A perfect motive for murder, wouldn't you say? This isn't good. Maybe I should change the subject. Why were you fired? Mr. Delight, please tell us why you were fired from your job.
Well...
The world is filled with those who have said, I wish I had never asked that. Okay, then I take it back.
Defendant, please answer the question.
I needed money.
You needed money?
Well, you see, Desi loves to spend it. It's kind of her hobby.
Not exactly the best hobby in the world, huh, Nick?
My salary wasn't nearly enough, so I stole data from the company.
Come again?
KB Security has a lot of security info on all sorts of companies, and since I was a security team chief...
You stole some data and sold it.
Mr. Bullard found out, and I was fired immediately.
What? I wish I never asked that.
I was somehow able to keep it secret and made it seem like I had quit on my own.
What is it, Nick? You don't look so good. Hey, Digital. Welcome in. How are you? And thank you for the objection. Someone who brings harm to their company is fired as punishment. You do well to remember that. He sure told you.
So you admit you stole data from your company, is that correct?
Yes, I'm sorry.
This is a very important fact. Please add it to your testimony.
Ah, man. This whole thing just took a bit turn for the worse, crashed, and blew up. It's gonna take the jaws of life to rip this case from the clutches of disaster.
He fired me from selling company secrets, but Desi doesn't know about that.
Why would you do something like that?
Well, for Desi's hobby, what else?
Wasting money, huh?
It's not a waste!
So Miss Delight doesn't know that her husband was fired, does she? So it would seem. I'm not sure what to think about couples who keep secrets like that from each other. I can't believe it. This case has gotten even Maya to think seriously about couples.
Please try to stay focused, Mr. Wright.
There wasn't much to his testimony, was there? Sounds like he's avoiding something. At least that's what it sounds like to me.
I've got a bad feeling about this. We'd better be careful.
But if we don't find a way to make him spill the beans, we'll never get closer to the truth.
Yeah.
Okay. Blackmail threat didn't scare me. It doesn't... Desi doesn't know. Okay. I'm gonna try pressing this again, because maybe now that we've got that other information, the press will change. Just what were you being blackmailed about anyway? Okay, hold on. We've already done this. Here we go. I'm afraid that reason isn't gonna hold up anymore. What do you mean? The victim had no proof the defendant was mask to mask, but you were the one who stole company secrets only 1 year earlier.
But that was all over with once I was fired. But it is true that the fact I stole secrets was kept under wraps. Even so, there was no reason for me to pay up now a whole year later.
Is that really true? What is it, Nick? The fact that Ron was stealing company data. I wonder if he would have had a problem if that ever became public knowledge. Yes, he would. Mr. DeLay, I believe you would have been in considerable trouble if your identity as a company data thief was made public.
Mr. Wright, what are you trying to do by bullying your own clients?
Ha! Men are like colonies of bacteria. The more heat you apply, the faster they grow. That's exactly right. Well then, feel free to keep up the heat, my little lawyer amigo. Little lawyer amigo? Yes, now come on. Provide some evidence to back up your assertion. Why would Mr. Delight want to keep his data-stealing secret from going public? That is an excellent question. Well, presumably, because of his wife. Mr. Delight, what you said just now doesn't match with what you told me yesterday.
Huh? What doesn't?
I think you must have been scared, very scared, of having a certain person find out your secret.
Certain person?
Miss Desiree Delight, the defendant's wife.
But listen to me, my Desi, she's...
Looks like if I just sit back and relax, the fun will end before it truly begins. Cadeau. Yes, we know. It was all your wife's fault.
What do you mean?
Mr. Delight stole company data to pay for his wife's spending habit, for which he was fired. Unable to face his own wife, someone used his dirty little secret to blackmail him. And that is how this murder came about.
Oh,
No, everything is falling neatly into place for him.
Don't talk about my Desi like that, or you'll be sorry!
Well, it seems that we've learned a great deal of things here so far.
What do you think, Nick? I didn't think it was possible to get so thoroughly whipped in just 20 minutes.
Clearly, there was sufficient motive for murder. He stole data for his wife, and he killed to protect his secret. A family man who cared just a little too much.
The motive is clear. Let's move on. What happened at the crime scene at 1 in the morning, Mr. Delight? Come now, tell us. We're all ears.
When I entered the office, there was a suspicious shadow there. Suddenly, I was hit on the forehead. After that, I remembered being a bit dazed. If I hadn't been wearing that, I would have been killed. When I came to, Mr. Bullard was lying there, dead.
I see. Suddenly hit on the forehead, huh? I believe the detective from yesterday provided a similar testimony. He said that Master Mask struck him on the head from behind.
Of course, since Atme turned out to be the culprit himself, that was all a lie. Ha! No one's going to believe a pathetic lie like that.
What are you saying? I really was attacked!
We'll find out if what you say is true or not during cross-examination.
Got that, Mr. Trite? Don't go easy just because he's your client. If I see any sign that you are, I'll treat you to another cup of my special blend. You don't need to worry about that, Mr. Goodell. I have faith in Ron. I know he didn't do it.
When I entered the office, there was a suspicious shadow there. Suddenly, I was hit on the forehead. After that, I remember being a bit dazed. If I hadn't been wearing that, I would have been killed.
Wearing what? That? Could you please clarify what you're referring to?
Why, my Mask to Mask costume, of course.
Wait just a moment. Master Mask?
Huh? Oh, did I forget to mention it before? Just to be on the safe side, I dressed as Mask to Mask. And then I descended upon the office of the CEO of KB Security.
What?
Nick, did you know about this? He never told me this. I don't recall him ever mentioning it to me either.
Even I didn't know that. Seems our little friend really loves to keep secrets.
I'm sorry, I just never had a chance to mention it up until now. Wait, that's not right. You know how sometimes things just slip your mind?
My 6th cup of coffee is staring up at me coldly.
At any rate, we can't ignore this new piece of information. Witness, please correct your testimony.
I'd have been killed if I hadn't been wearing my Mask to Mask costume.
Hold on. Wrong button. Why were you dressed up as Mask to Mask?
Why? Because I'm Mask to Mask, of course.
What are you talking about? Master Mask's trial is being held next door.
Yes, I guess so. Anyway, at that time, I thought I was being blackmailed over the Mask to Mask issue. So I thought I should go as him, just to be safe.
Oh boy.
Let me tell you, it's a real pain to move around with that cape. That's why it took a lot longer than I'd expected.
Took a lot longer? What is he talking about? Press harder. What do you mean by took a lot longer?
Oh, opening the safe, of course. My cape got caught on the safe door, you see. This all happened when I was hiding Mr. Bullard's body.
What was that? Back up a second.
Yes?
You were the one who hid the body in the safe?
Well, yeah.
Inconceivable!
You keep using that word, Your Honor. I don't think it means what you think it means.
Why? Just why? What reason could you have? What were you thinking?
He wasn't thinking.
Question. When does someone toss their dirty shorts in the washing machine?
What?
The answer is simple. When they take them off.
As usual, I have no idea what you're saying.
Do you mean that Mr. Delight hid the body because he's the murderer? Ha! So you're not as stupid as you look. This metaphor this time was really obscure.
Mr. Wright, you don't mean that you knew about this whole safe business, do you?
Well, yes.
Why am I the only one not in the loop here? Witness, make sure you add this to your testimony.
Yes, sir.
Looks like a storm front is moving in over the fair weather judge.
I panicked and hid the body in the safe. It took about 10 minutes.
Oh, 10 minutes, eh? That sounds interesting. Okay, so the warehouse camera went on. No, we don't care about that right now. Blunt trauma to the head. Don't care about that. The buzzer went off at 1:02 a.m. Okay, no. No, I don't think that's... I think we need to press for it to become relevant. Why did you hide the body in the safe anyway?
Well, because it wouldn't fit in a drawer.
That's not exactly what I meant.
When I saw that corpse, I kind of lost it. I thought, if they find his corpse, they'll think I did it.
I think you had a simpler reason than that. It's because you killed him. That's why you spent 10 minutes hiding the body.
That certainly makes more sense.
Hold on. 10 minutes?
What is it, Nick?
I just had a thought. Under those circumstances, would you normally try to hide the body and spend 10 whole minutes to do it? Under those circumstances? What circumstances? Oh! Hey, Nick, if you think his behavior was so strange, why don't you present some evidence that would show just what those circumstances were? That's it. I'll take a look at the court record and present some evidence.
We heard this from Mr. Delight yesterday, didn't we?
There's not much in this testimony either.
I bet you he's still hiding something.
I wouldn't be surprised. We'll just have to draw it out of him.
I just hope he doesn't make things any more complicated.
Okay. So I was right. It was the 10 minutes that's a contradiction. And I had to press it in order to make it very obvious that it is a contradiction because the buzzer went off at 1:02 a.m. on October 12th in the CEO's office. So the buzzer was going off. Objection! And he decided to take and hide the body for 10 minutes. Your Honor, could you please take a look at this record?
And what might this be?
The record for the emergency buzzer that connects the CEO's office to security. If the button in the office is pressed, the security team is supposed to come running. And according to this record, the buzzer was pushed once at 1:02 a.m.
What?
If Mr. Ron Delight truly was the murderer, he would have ran as soon as that buzzer sounded. After all, a security guard would have been heading his way.
Objection!
Let's remember who we're dealing with here. He probably had no idea there's security personnel in the building. Objection! Up until 1 year ago, my client was working as a chief of security. There's no way he wouldn't have known about them.
Objection!
But, as it turns out, the guard never came. That was nothing more than a coincidence. The fact that the guard was a pathetic loser who had just gotten punched in the face by his ex's new boyfriend and wasn't anywhere in the vicinity was not something Mr. Delight could have known.
Objection!
Again, remember who we're dealing with here. It's a sure bet that Mr. Delight didn't even notice the buzzer going off. Objection! This buzzer is extremely loud. There's no way he could have ignored something like that. If he had been conscious, that is.
Conscious? What do you mean by that?
Ugh. Fine. Let's hear your theory. Recall the defendant's testimony. The moment he entered the victim's office, someone attacked him. Mr. Delight said he felt dazed. I'm willing to wager that he was knocked unconscious for at least a few minutes.
Unconscious? So he fainted?
That's why Mr. Delight didn't know that the buzzer had sounded. And that's why he thought he had time to hide the body.
So, what are you trying to say?
Mr. Delight was knocked out and the buzzer went off soon afterwards. Now, unless my client was able to hit the buzzer while he was unconscious, it can only mean there was another person in that room. That's right. Whoever it was, they knocked out Ron Delight and then pressed the buzzer.
Order in the court. Mr. Wright, this is...
Objection!
This is preposterous. It was this kid. Ron Delight is the one who killed Kane Bullard.
Objection!
Then who pressed the buzzer? It was... the victim, of course. He pressed the buzzer when the defendant attacked him. He didn't die right away. He must have held on long enough to push that button. Ah!
So Kane Bullard sounded the buzzer himself. What's your opinion on this, Mr. Wright?
I need to prove that the real criminal was there at the scene, but how? Can I prove that it wasn't Kane Bullard who sounded the buzzer? Oh, I can prove it. The defense's opinion is this, Your Honor. This piece of evidence proves that it wasn't the victim who sounded the buzzer. The buzzer itself, there's no fingerprints on it.
Take that!
I believe this is the piece of incontrovertible evidence you were looking for.
The emergency buzzer? Is there some kind of clue on it?
Absolutely not. Hey, come on now. At least give us some thought to what you say before opening your mouth. The fact that there are absolutely no clues is itself the clue.
No, I'm the one who's clueless.
How can you tell? The button has no fingerprints on it. If Mr. Bullard had really pressed it himself, naturally he would have left his fingerprints behind.
Objection!
Ron Delight obviously wiped them off.
Objection!
Why would he? A guard could have come in at any moment. He touched that button. I know he did.
Objection!
The defendant, Mr. Delight, was dressed as Master Mask. And Master Mask always wears gloves. What reason could he possibly have to wipe the button free of fingerprints?
Order! Order! Order!
It would seem. I've been forced to eat crow. I wonder what blend number crow flavored coffee is.
However, if the real killer was there at the scene, why would that person press the emergency buzzer? Shouldn't they have run away without putting themselves in extra danger? What is with this awkward silence all of a sudden?
Ha! It looks like you were fresh out of parlor tricks. They're on to you, Nick. Just give me a minute to collect my thoughts. The real culprit killed Mr. Bullard at around 1 a.m. And Mr. Delight just happened to waltz in when the murder was taking place, right? The killer clobbered Mr. Delight and then sounded the buzzer. Even though security was supposed to respond right away if the buzzer was pressed. Security was supposed to respond? Huh.
Time's up, Mr. Wright. Let's hear what you have to say.
Very well, then. Oh, you got some guts. I like that in an opponent.
Why did the real killer sound the emergency buzzer?
To call the security guard. The killer knew that if they pressed that button, a guard would come running. And that was exactly what they wanted.
Do you mean to say the killer called the guard on purpose?
Yes. Although, as it turned out, he never showed up. Because he was getting his clock cleaned at the time. Ha! What a touching story. You're saying the killer had a change of heart and called the guard to turn himself in? No, I'm not. When that buzzer sounded, there were 3 people in that office. The victim, Kane Bullard, who was already dead. The defendant, Ron Delight, who was out cold. And the third person, the real killer.
Hypothetically, yes.
Now then, in this situation, if the real killer made an escape, what would happen? The only ones left in the room would be the victim and Ron Delight. And if any security guards came running in at that time,
They would think that I was the murderer.
Yes, that was precisely the real killer's objective. To frame Rhonda Light for the murder.
Order! Order! Order!
It would seem. I've been made to eat my words once again. Actually, you've been made to do a spit take with a cup of coffee.
Mr. Wright, who was it? Who was it that tried to frame me? Wait a second. I'm the one and only Master Mask, so... Nick, you mean the real killer is...
We're going to drag that person in here right now.
But who is it?
I don't have any solid proof yet, but think about it. The killer knew Mr. Delight's identity, and they also knew that he had been called to KB security that night. So the killer used him to execute a well-crafted plan to murder Kane Bullard.
Now then, let's hear your accusation, Mr. Wright. Who was it that framed Mr. Rhonda Light for the murder of Kane Bullard?
Ooh, I know.
Who was it?
At me.
What at you?
Oh my gosh. No, the person who is actually Master Mask. Look at me.
I am looking at you.
It is funny.
I am hilarious.
Teasing your wife like that. How dare you?
Take that!
Detective Luke Atme. He's the only one who could have done it. Ace detective.
Luke at me.
You mean Master Mask did it?
Your Honor, the person being tried in the court next to us is not Master Mask at all. He is, in actuality, the true murderer of Kane Bullard.
Order! Order! Mr. Wright, explain yourself.
Theft and murder, which is the more serious crime?
They're not even close. Murder is the more serious crime, of course. It's a capital crime subject to a capital punishment.
Please remember the trial from yesterday, if you would. When Luke Atme confessed, there was a huge commotion in the courtroom. Of course, a famous detective was unmasked as well as mask to mask. Instead of being convicted of murder, he was found guilty of grand larceny. That was his true objective all along.
To be found guilty.
Master Mask had the perfect alibi for when the murder took place. He was stealing the urn at Lordly Taylor. In other words, being found guilty as Mask to Mask was Luke Atme's airtight, watertight, and unassailable alibi.
A guilty verdict? As an alibi?
Nice work if you can get it. You know, it's almost time.
For what?
For Luke Atme's verdict. It was a pretty simple trial, after all. If we're going to stop this trial and stall that one, we need to do it now. Of course, that's assuming you have proof that the detective was the one who committed the murder.
Mr. Luke Atme's trial has indeed attracted the attention of the entire country. If we were to intrude and fail to provide adequate proof of his true crime, Mr. Delight would be left with no grounds for appeal.
Am I really sure about this? Ha! A bet's only good when your life's the ante.
Mr. Wright, I believe in you.
Mr. Delight.
So please, I'm begging you!
Thanks, but my decision will determine the rest of your life. Can I really risk your life like this? Phoenix. What was that? Don't stray, Phoenix. For your client, take the path of trust. That voice. It sounds like... Mia! Your Honor, the defense requested an immediate recess! Ha! So, that's your answer, huh?
Very well. I've decided as well. This court will now take a 20-minute recess. Mr. Wright, when we return, please summon Mr. Luke Atme to the stand.
Yes, Your Honor. Well, Sir Detective Atme. I have to say, Mr. Payne, you performed splendidly. Oh no, Sir Detective Atme, you were the one who...
That's enough. This court sees no reason to further prolong this trial. This court finds the defendant, Luke Atme.
Hold it!
Wait! Don't hand your verdict down yet, please!
Well, Sir Lawyer, welcome to my courtroom.
Who's this hoser, eh? My name is Phoenix Wright, attorney at law, and I wish to file an accusation against this man, Luke Atme.
Accusation? You accuse Master Mask?
That man is not Master Mask. He's just a ruthless murderer.
What?
All right, we're going to press forward because it's only been 45 minutes. I'm not quite ready for a break yet. My sis? I could have sworn I heard Mia's voice. So then she's still alive inside your heart. Nicky boy! Oh, Mrs. Delight. Is it true that Detective is the real killer? To be honest, we don't have any definite proof. But he's the only one who could have done it. But wasn't he at Lordly Taylor that night? Not to mention, we don't exactly know his motive. I mean, why would Detective Atme want to kill Kane Bullard? Oops, it's almost time. I better get back to the courtroom. I need to find some solid proof. And it's gotta happen sooner rather than later.
Oh, so the statue was moved and there's no other explanation for the statue?
Well, that's one of them, yes.
Now then, this court is back in session. Mr. Luke Atme, please take the stand.
Well, how do you do, Sir Lawyer? I never would have thought to see you acting so recklessly.
I couldn't just let them hand down your verdict just yet. Not when it would have given you your perfect alibi. An alibi by the name of Mask to Mask.
I'm sorry, I'm afraid even the great Luke Atme has no idea what you mean. Of course, I had been in the next courtroom ever since 10 o'clock this morning. I'm afraid there's no way I could know what's been going on in here.
You've been in the defendant's seat all day long, correct? Being tried as Mask to Mask.
Indeed, it's truly child's play to fool the ignorant masses. Not only did the poor fools ask me to protect their valuables, they even gave me a generous reward upon returning their own property to them. Take this red diamond ring that sparkles on my divine finger, for example.
So you'd continue to insist that you are, in fact, Mask to Mask?
Of course.
Very well then. Luke Atme, let us begin with a simple question. On October 12th at 1 a.m., Kane Bullard was murdered. Where were you at that time?
One without knowledge lacks even the knowledge that he should be ashamed of himself. But don't worry, I will not hold it against you, Sir Judge.
Thanks.
All right, Mr. Atme. The night of the murder. Speak! We're all ears.
As you wish, Sir Prosecutor. I was stealing the urn as Mask to Mask, just as I announced I would. I had more than enough time to prepare. It was a pathetically easy job. A photograph contains no words, but in this case, one turned out to be my witness. The time at which the camera captured Mask to Mask was the same time as the murder.
It seems the main point of discussion will be this photo of the crime scene.
Everything else up until now is all part of his plan. There has to be a secret to this picture as well.
Even the great Master Mask cannot be in two places at once. Now then, if you'll excuse me, I have a verdict to receive.
Hold it!
Unfortunately, Mr. Atme, we still have to do your cross-examination. A fool is too foolish to know that he is a fool. I think he's trying to say that you're full of it, Nick. Either that or he's trying to imitate Miss Whippy Von Karma Pants. The only thing that's full of it is his alibi. I was stealing the urn as Master Mask just as I announced I would. I had more than enough time to prepare. It was a pathetically easy job. A photograph contains no words, but in this case, one turned out to be my witness. The time at which the camera captured Master Mask was the same time as the murder. Yeah, about that. Something ain't right here. But actually, let me press just to be safe. About the camera that took this photograph. Oh, come now, it's all too clear what you're thinking. Huh? You think I altered the timestamp on the photograph, don't you? I'm afraid that's impossible. The camera was set up by Lordly Taylor, and on top of that, it was Lordly Taylor's staff that printed that picture's data. Unfortunately for the defense, there's no way that picture could have been altered.
I see.
It looks like I'd better find something else that could be suspicious. So this alibi is false? It has to be, or he couldn't have killed Mr. Bullard at KB Security.
But I'm not really spotting anything unusual.
There are two possibilities. Either the Master Mask in the photo is a fake, or the photo itself is. Alright, so let's take a look at the evidence. Alright. Actually, you know what? I'm going to save here because there's a number of things that contradict what he's saying, and trying to find out the exact one that they're looking for is going to be a bit of a pain. So I'm going to try Amy Faye's golden statue.
Objection!
This evidence clearly reveals a contradiction in that statement, Your Honor.
How exactly are the evidence in the statement just now related?
They aren't, are they?
Not at all. Mr. Wright, please think the facts over before making accusations.
I don't think that won me any points with the judge. Alright, let's try pressing the photograph thing.
Hold it!
So, by photograph, you mean this piece of evidence here, is that correct? Indeed it is. That is it. The very thing that proves I committed the crime. The very thing that proves you committed the crime. When you think about it, it's really odd. You say that almost as if you had this picture taken on purpose.
Objection!
He was simply caught by the very camera that he had set up. We all have days like that. Indeed, it turned out there was no such thing as the perfect crime after all. Life truly is an ironic thing. A sad blue melody. It looks like I better gather more information for now. If he's truly the killer, there's got to be something phony in that photo. Alright, I'm gonna try presenting the paint marks on this one.
Objection!
Nope, that wasn't it. Your Honor, what do you think about the witness's statement?
I'm not sure I follow you.
It clearly contradicts the, I thought...
You don't sound very sure, Mr. Wright. Objection denied.
I don't think that won me any points with the judge. Alright, let's try presenting Amy Faye to the statement, since it's a different statement.
Objection!
Nope. Okay, same response. Alright. let's try the paint marks.
Objection!
Nope. Okay, so both statements, we've tried the paint marks and the statue. Do I present the security camera photo itself on the statement?
Objection!
Nope. The witness's statement is clearly faulty, Your Honor.
I'm sorry, but I can see nothing faulty. Unfortunately, I will have to penalize you, Mr. Wright. That's enough. This court sees no reason to further prolong this trial, nor is there any need for more time to decide the case against the defendant. This case is extremely clear. I see no room for misinterpretation of the facts. This court finds the defendant, Ron Delight. The accused will surrender to the court immediately, to be held pending trial at a higher court within a month from today's date. That is all. The court is adjourned.
Well then. Good thing I saved, huh? Alright. So... let me try pressing all of his statements, just to be safe.
Hold it!
So this photograph is the proof, correct? Indeed it is. And the man in the photo is certainly wearing a mask. That is why I'm called Mask to Mask. But conveniently, that also means there's no way to tell who this really is.
What do you mean?
Objection!
Are you saying this is not, in fact, Luke Atney? That it could be an accomplice dressed up as Mask to Mask to create an alibi? Oh, what an interesting idea. Are you saying that I, Lone Wolf Luke, had an accomplice? No, you had no accomplice. If Luke Atney was at KB Security during the murder, then the Mask to Mask in this picture has to be a fake. Then there really was an accomplice. But right now I have no idea who it was. I don't have any idea right now either. Baseless objections are just what that guy wants. There's got to be another way, and I'm going to find it. I had more than enough time to prepare. It was a pathetically easy job.
Hold it!
I believe Adrian Andrews hired you at one point. That's right. That was over 20 days ago, if I'm not mistaken. You sent the calling card to Lordly Taylor 10 days before the heist. That would mean you sent out the card after you began your security watch, right? Indeed. There was no reason why I couldn't do both jobs at once. It was the perfect opportunity to steal my latest target.
I see. You truly are evil, aren't you?
Yes, evil is what I am. Hey, Nick, isn't there something odd about this? Detective Atney was always proud of his ace detective skills, right? But if the urn was stolen from Lordly Taylor while he was the only one watching it, he'd have no way to maintain his perfect ace detective persona. You know, that's true. It is kind of odd. The photograph contains no words, but in this case, one turned out to be my witness.
Hold it!
So by photograph, you mean this piece of evidence here, is that correct? Indeed it is. That is it. The very thing that proves I committed the crime. The very thing that proves you committed the crime. Surely even you understand by now. Lordly Taylor provided that camera. There's no way I could have tampered with it. That means I could not have killed Kane Bullard unless I had an accomplice. Come on, think long and hard about that night. The basement warehouse and this picture that supposedly captures it. It's gotta be here. Isn't there something funny about this picture? You bet there is. Are you implying that this picture is a fake? You bet I am, and there's definitely something strange about this picture. We took a look around the basement warehouse that night before the theft took place. There's something in this photo that doesn't match my memory of that night.
Very well, then let's hear what you have to say. What about this photograph do you find funny?
This here.
Take that!
The funny part is right here.
Why, this is a blood stain. Ah, blood! Now this case is getting interesting.
Not exactly. The stain is actually pink paint. Although I've heard some people actually bleed that color. Anyway.
Oh, just paint. And peach colored at that.
From blood to peaches. Judge sure loves going on his wild tangents. Actually, no, that's Pepto-Bismol.
Moxicillin or Caplex. Same color.
The problem with this photograph is not the paint. The problem is when you consider the layout of the basement warehouse. It turns out that something that should be there is nowhere to be seen.
Well, Mr. Wright? What is supposed to be in this picture instead of the paint stains?
There we go.
Take that!
The supervisor of the treasure exhibit stated the following.
Well, there's a good reason for that. On the day of the crime around noon, that golden statue just happened to arrive from the mountain training hall. I realized that the statue would be the perfect size for covering up the paint stains. That's why I put it where you first saw it.
I myself was there the night the theft took place and saw the statue in that spot. If this picture was truly taken on that night, then that statue should have been there.
Objection!
But when I went there the day after the theft, that statue of the old bag was sitting in the corner.
Perhaps it was somehow pushed there accidentally.
Your Honor, the statue is slightly larger than yourself and quite heavy. It would take more than an accidental push to move it that distance. Ha! In that case, can you prove it? Can you give us the rhyme and reason as to why that statue was moved that night?
Can you do it, Nick?
Never mind who moved it. The real question is, why did they move it?
Well, Mr. Wright, I hope you're prepared with your answer. Now then, who was the one that moved the golden statue on the night of the crime?
I want to say it was Adrian that moved it back?
Take that!
What do you think, Mr. Godot?
Nope.
A man should be able to answer his own questions, that's what I think. Right now I'm busy trying to come up with two answers of my own. Why is coffee black? And why is it bitter?
Mr. Wright, to put it simply, you've messed up.
What are you doing, Nick? You need to think about why that statue was moved. Good thing about when everyone chews me out is that it gives me time to think.
Well, Mr. Wright, I hope you're prepared with your answer. Now then, who was the one who moved the golden statue on the night of the crime?
I would say it was Luke, but
Yeah, that's the only one that makes sense, so we're gonna go with that.
Take that!
The one who moved the statue is none other than Luke Atme. Come now, Sir Lawyer. There you go again on one of your strange delusions.
Mr. Wright, what basis do you have for your strange delusions?
It's very simple. The witness was the only one in the basement warehouse that night. It is indeed very simple. However, why would I want to move a heavy golden statue? The reason for moving the golden statue. Here's where our battle really begins.
Well, Mr. Wright, what reason did the witness have to move that statue?
The reason can be found here in this photograph. Look at me. You pretended to be mask to mask to create an alibi by showing you were at Lordly Taylor that night. But this photograph contains a single fatal flaw. If the statue had been there, your lie would be exposed like a cheap film at a drugstore. That is why you had to move the statue.
A single fatal flaw?
Interesting theory. Please enlighten us. Just where in this picture does this lie exist? The timestamp.
Take that!
Naturally, the lie in this photo was the timestamp.
What do you mean?
I'll tell you exactly what I mean. On the night in question, Luke Atme went to KB Security and murdered Kane Bullard. Therefore, it's obvious. It would have been impossible for him to have been Lordly Taylor at this time.
But what does that have to do with the statue being moved?
Remember, if you will, Your Honor. When was the statue placed besides the warehouse door?
Well,
The statue was taken down to the warehouse on the day of the crime. And it was placed there in order to cover up the paint. Exactly. Luke Atme had already decided on the time when he was going to kill the victim, and so in order to create an alibi for that time, he took this picture days before the murder took place.
what the?
Of course, the statue hadn't yet been brought down to the basement warehouse yet.
Ah,
So, on the day of the crime, Mr. Atme must have been quite nervous. As nervous as a long-tailed cat in a rocking chair factory, so to speak. Why? Because something that wasn't supposed to be there had been brought down and placed where it wasn't supposed to be. And that is why Luke Atme had to move the statue on the night of the murder. He did it to make the room match with the way it had been in his photo. Ah!
order, order! Mr. Atme, is this true?
One moment, Your Honor. Have you forgotten this?
What's that?
The data for the basement warehouse computer. According to this, the camera did indeed go off on the night of the crime. It's true that the camera had been set up by Lordly Taylor's staff. However, the program used to manage that data was yours. That alone would have allowed you to tamper with the data. Ah!
Order, order! Mr. Godot, what is the meaning of this? Godot, I warned you about making me wait. Now put that coffee down.
My 11th cup. I promise to drink no more than 17 during a trial. Which means I'm still good to the last drop.
However, the defense has a very good point.
A good point. Oh, nuts. I missed it. We're all but travelers on a road of infinite points. I think he's got his points mixed up with his other points. So you say this photograph was taken ahead of time, and that the statue was moved in order to make it match? That's a very interesting idea. However, there's one point that can't be denied. Which is that it's only a possibility. Men that are trapped by the chains of maybe can never reach their dreams.
That's very true.
No, wait, don't fall for that, Your Honor. Hey, Mr. Damask. Yes? If there's no funny business in your actions as Master Mask, there should be no problem with telling us your strategy, so let's hear it.
Yes, please provide this court with your testimony about your plan to steal the sacred urn.
I first received the request from Lordly Taylor about 20 days ago. The urn was placed in the box in Safari. It was then sent to the warehouse. Hence, I was actually unable to see the urn for myself until the day of the crime. I knew it was an extremely valuable treasure, so I sent my card 10 days beforehand. I then handled security by myself to ensure that my crime would go smoothly. At last, I held the urn in my hands for the first time at 1 a.m. on October 12th.
That's pretty much all stuff we've heard before, isn't it?
Yeah, but will we find the truth hidden in the nuggets of new information he gave?
Witness, you're sure there are no mistakes this time?
Savari!
Very well then. Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination.
Alright, let's see. You were unable to see the urn for yourself until the day of the crime. Let's press that. So you're sure that you had never seen the urn before? Indeed. You may ask Lady Andrews to confirm for yourself. My security was focused entirely on the entrance to that warehouse. However, I, Luke Catme, let no information whatsoever slip through my fingers. I knew it was an extremely valuable treasure, so I'd sent my card 10 days beforehand.
Hold it!
You mean this calling card? That's right. That is, without a doubt, my calling card. I guess Mr. Delight didn't make this after all. Of course, because he knew about the emblem. Making this card authentic would have been child's play for him. I then handled security by myself to ensure that my crime would go smoothly.
Hold it!
Then no one entered the basement warehouse? Unfortunately, there were many different treasures being taken there. Thus, for a period of approximately 5 days, people were indeed going in and out of the warehouse. At last, I held the urn in my hands for the first time at 1 a.m. on October 12th.
Hold it!
Something doesn't seem right about that. And this is the photo that proves that, huh? Indeed. To be honest, even if a photo was taken, I didn't think it would matter terribly much. Hey, Nick, if this photo was a fake, Detective Atme might have stolen the urn whenever this was taken. That's true. You know, he's been saying that he never saw the urn until that night. If we can prove that he's lying there, we can wrap this up and put a bow on it. I need to take a good hard look at the court record. Not a lot to go on, is there? That detective's been covering his tracks. There's only one thing we need to prove in this cross-examination. That he took this photo well before the actual night of the crime. Alright then, so how do we do that? There's one thing Atme stated very clearly. That he had never seen the urn before he stole it. We need to prove that he's lying. Okay, so... I mean, it's not exactly a contradiction to share the treasure exhibit poster, but I'm going to present it here anyway.
Objection!
Nope. This evidence clearly reveals the contradiction in that statement, Your Honor.
How exactly are the evidence in the statement just now related?
They aren't, are they?
Not at all. Mr. Wright, please think the facts over before making accusations.
I don't think that won me any points with the judge. Alright, let's try this. First received the request from Lord Taylor about 20 days ago. You were asked to guard the urn by Miss Adrian Andrews, is that right? Indeed, it seemed that they had heard of my sparkling reputation. I see Miss Andrews is still attracting the weirdos. You better watch out too, Maya. The urn was placed in a box, and Safari, who was then sent to the warehouse.
Hold it!
You mean this box? Yes, that pathetic box. Lady Andrews was especially taken with that urn, and she wouldn't let anyone enter the storeroom, not even me. Huh, interesting new tidbit. Hence, I was actually unable to see the urn for myself until the day of the crime.
Hold it!
So you're sure that you had never seen the urn before? Indeed. You may ask Lady Andrews to confirm for yourself. My security was focused entirely on the entrance to that warehouse. However, I, Luke Catme, let no information whatsoever slip through my fingers. Alright, so he knew it was an extremely valuable treasure, he says. But... Let me check this. No. Sent the card 10 days beforehand. Poster for the crime exhibit. Alright, press this.
Hold it!
You mean this calling card? That's right, that is without a doubt my calling card. Guess Mr. Delight didn't make this after all. Of course, because Atme knew about the emblem. Making this card authentic would have been child's play for him. Then I handled security by myself to ensure that my crime would go smoothly.
Hold it!
Then no one entered the basement warehouse. Unfortunately, there were many different treasures being taken there, thus for a period of approximately 5 days, people were indeed going in and out of the warehouse. At last, I held the urn in my hands for the first time at 1 a.m. on October 12th.
Hold it!
And this is the photo that proves that, huh? Indeed. To be honest, even if a photo was taken, I didn't think it would matter that terribly much. Hey, Nick, if this photo is a fake, Detective Atme might have stolen the urn whenever this was taken. That's true. You know, he's been saying that he never saw the urn until that night. And if we can prove that he's lying there, we can wrap this up and put a bow on it. I need to take a good hard look at the court record. Not a lot to... Okay, Okay, never saw the urn. First time on October 12th.
Objection!
No.
Objection!
No. What the heck? So we've got to prove that he was actually able to see the urn, but the treasure exhibit poster doesn't prove it. So what does? He's got a box that doesn't prove the urn was in it. I better save, just to be safe. Unable to see the urn. Right.
Objection!
No.
Objection!
No, the box doesn't contradict him either. No, the urn doesn't contradict anything. Paint marks?
Objection!
No. Ugh. Alright, let's try this again. Surely... What am I missing here? Because, again, I think that the Treasures of Khura'in exhibit would be the thing that kind of disproves that he was unable to see it. Maybe I just need to check everything in the court record. Alright, let's see here. Check the exhibit. Okay, nothing of interest there. Security at Lordly Taylor will be coming to purloin the priceless work of art on display in your Treasures of Khura'in exhibit. Take good care of this speckled urn. Okay, there we go. Okay, that's it. That's the problem.
Objection!
Mr. Atme, if you really are a Mask to Mask, then you also wrote this calling card, correct? But of course! Is there a problem with that calling card? Allow me to read a passage from the calling card that Mask to Mask had written. Take good care of the speckled urn. Now, the speckled here surely refers to this pink pattern on the sacred urn.
Yes, that is true. But so what?
Truth be told, there's no way the Mask to Mask could have known about this pattern. What do you mean? This pink spotted pattern on the urn is actually nothing more than paint stains.
Paint stains?
And these stains did not appear until after the urn had been taken to Lordly Taylor.
Ugh.
I'm not finding this joke to be very funny, Mr. Trite. The day that the sacred urn was taken to the warehouse, the urn was broken due to human error, or should I say an error-prone human. And that's when the pink paint got on the urn. Ugh, you can't be serious. And yet this calling card clearly mentions the paint pattern. Which means Detective Atme had seen this urn long before the crime ever took place. In fact, he saw it when this fake photo was taken. And because this photo is a fake, your alibi for the night of the murder no longer holds water.
Witness, do you have anything to say for yourself?
All right, that did it. He's broken. Nick, I think it's still a little early for a victory pose. Huh? Ha. It's so sad. No one has any conviction these days.
Conviction, you say?
Yesterday, we all decided unanimously that this man was Mask to Mask, and now we're calling him a murderer. You don't think that we're being a tad fickle?
That's a good point.
No way, don't fall for that too, Your Honor. You say that Luke Atme was the one who killed Kane Bullard. Then let me ask you this. Why would he do that? An excellent point. Motive, Mr. Wright, motive. Might you, my merry murderous motive, manifest? Nick, he's getting a second wind.
He prepared an alibi and pinned his crime on Ron Delight, as you say. He must have had a very strong motive for murder.
The only one with any motive we've seen is Rhonda Light. Isn't that right, Detective? Indeed. According to my own research, the boy's motive is clear.
Without a motive, it's nearly impossible to prove guilt in a murder case. Now then, maybe you can enlighten us as to what the defendant's motives were.
I'd be honored to, Sir Old-Timer. They're doing everything they can to make Ron look suspicious. Despite our lack of hard information, this may be our only chance. Okay, I'm going to take a break briefly. I'll be back in just a few minutes. Okay, we are back. Sorry for the delay, but here we are.
Look at me, had no points of contact with the victim whatsoever. Kane Bullard decided to investigate Master Mask and simply mistook who he was. It was Mr. Bullard who wrote the blackmail letter and sent it to Ron Delight. It was against Mr. Bullard who harbored a grudge against Mr. Delight for his betrayal. Mr. Bullard's mistake is quite excusable. The defendant truly believes he is Master Mask. That is why Mr. Delight saw it fit to kill Kane Bullard. Truly a tragedy.
So the victim, Kane Bullard, blackmailed the defendant.
This is the blackmail letter found in the defendant's apartment. A handwriting test confirms that Mr. Bullard was indeed the one who wrote the letter. What?
Very well, Mr. Wright. Begin your cross-examination.
Look at me, had no points of contact with the victim whatsoever.
Hold it!
And who in the world is going to prove that?
I will.
After doing a thorough background check of Detective Atme and Kane Bullard, we were unable to find any links between them. It's all in the report.
Perhaps they were connected through their work. They were both involved in security.
Nope.
That was blunt.
In any case, the only one with a motive was Mr. Delight. Kane Bullard decided to investigate Master Mask and simply mistook who he was.
Mistook?
That's right, mistook, from the Old Norse mistaka, meaning to take an error.
No, that wasn't what I meant.
Just who did the victim mistake Master Mask to be?
Why, the answer is obvious. Ron Delight, of course.
Boy, I'd like to wipe that smug look off this guy's face. Press harder. Why would the victim mistake the defendant for Master Mask?
But don't you already know that? Savari, take a look at this newspaper.
Oh, that's the famous Tear of Emanon, a magnificent jewel.
That photo shows a magnificent detective as well, does it not? Furthermore, it also shows an ugly guard, namely the defendant.
The defendant?
The victim clearly misread this article, and Savari, he got the wrong impression. The impression that this ugly security guard was in fact Master Mask.
I see.
That was an unusually reasonable deduction.
It was Mr. Bullard who wrote the blackmail letter and sent it to Ron Delight.
Hold it!
You mean this blackmail letter right here?
It says bring 50,000.
And the handwriting is, without a doubt, the victim's. There's no mistake. We have an official report to prove it.
But I don't see an addressee on this letter anywhere.
An addressee? This letter was discovered in Ron Delight's apartment, and Mr. Delight did show up at the designated place and time. The fact that there's no addressee is irrelevant. I wonder... What's up, Nick? I just had a thought. What if that blackmail letter wasn't meant for Mr. Delight? Whoa, do you have any evidence of that? For some reason, I just can't shake
Hello
the
there.
feeling. Hello there, Reeve. How are you? Welcome in. That there's something not quite right about this blackmail letter.
Well, everyone, are you quite satisfied?
Just got home from work. Gotcha. I'm doing alright.
And it was again Mr. Bullard who harbored a grudge against Mr. Delight for his betrayal.
Hold it!
What do you mean by that?
Oh my, I was certain you were already aware. Savari!
KB Security has a lot of security info on all sorts of companies. And since I was a security team chief, I stole data from the company.
Kane Bullard had yet to forgive young Mr. Delight, which is why he sent him that letter upon mistakenly believing he was the thief. Here's a file that we discovered in Mr. Bullard's office. Evidence that Mr. Bullard was receiving money through blackmail.
However, isn't this a bit odd? Why did the defendant pay Mr. Bullard the money, even though he wasn't actually Master Mask?
On that point, there was an unfortunate bit of chance. Mr. Bullard's mistake is quite excusable. The defendant truly believes he is Master Mask.
Do you really think that story is gonna hold up?
That assertion is not merely my own, I'm afraid.
What do you mean?
I have here a memo from Ron Delight's wife, Desiree Delight. Ronnie thinks he's Master Mask. Don't you feel sorry for him? Please don't think too badly of him. Ha! Well, Mr. Trite.
Was he trying to act like Miss Delight just now? I thought he was actually pretty convincing.
And that is why Mr. Delight saw it fit to kill Kane Bullard. Truly a tragedy.
Now that's just your imagination talking.
Come now, Sir Lawyer. I'm afraid imagination isn't quite the right word for it. This is a deduction, the result of carefully applied reasoning.
Can we hear that careful reasoning for ourselves?
It's a long story and better saved for another time.
Very well, another time.
So-called long stories aren't usually all that long. At least, not in my experience. So you're gonna try to connect this Detective Atme to Mr. Bullard, right? Yeah, that's right. Hopefully it won't require surgery either. In that case, you'll have to talk about the blackmail. That's true. Was that blackmail letter really intended for Ron? Since we don't have enough information, you should press him for more testimony. Maybe he'll be able to shake some contradictions loose that way. Alright, so now that we've pressed everything once, if I press everything again, we should get something new, I think. And who in the world is going to prove that you had no points of contact with the victim? I will. After doing a thorough background check of Detective Atme and Kane Bullard, we were unable to find any links between them. It's all in the report.
Perhaps they were connected through their work. They were both involved in security.
Nope.
That was blunt.
In any case, the only one with a motive was Mr. Delight. Kane Bullard decided to investigate Master Mask and simply mistook who he was.
Mistook?
That's right, mistook, from the Old Norse mistaka, meaning to take an error.
That wasn't what I meant.
Just who did the victim mistake Master Mask to be?
Why, the answer is obvious. Ron Delight, of course.
Boy, I'd like to wipe that smug look off this guy's face. Press harder again. Why would the victim mistake the defendant for Master Mask?
Don't you already know that? Savari, take a look at this newspaper.
Oh, that's the famous Tear of Emanon, a magnificent jewel.
That photo shows a magnificent detective as well, does it not? Furthermore, it also shows an ugly guard. Namely, the defendant.
You missed this writing? How so?
The defendant?
The victim clearly misread this article, and Savari, he got the wrong impression. Impression that this ugly security guard was in fact Masked Mask.
I see.
That was an unusually reasonable deduction.
It was Mr. Bullard who wrote that blackmail letter and sent it to Ron Delight.
You mean this blackmail letter right here?
It says bring $50,000.
And the handwriting is without a doubt the victim's?
There's no mistake. We have an official report to prove it.
But I don't see an address C on this letter anywhere.
Quality, and you haven't played AA3 in years. Okay. I was wondering if you were, like, comparing it to one of the more recent Ace Attorney games or something. Or if it was, like, just the dialogue commentary you had. An addressee. This letter was discovered in Ron Delight's apartment, and Mr. Delight did show up at the designated place in time. The fact that there's no addressee is irrelevant. I wonder... What's up, Nick? I just had a thought. What if that blackmail letter wasn't meant for Mr. Delight? Oh, do you have any evidence of that? For some reason, I just can't shake the feeling that there's something not quite right about this blackmail letter.
Well, everyone, are you quite satisfied?
Alright. So I think we've pressed everything all that I need to. Let me check the blackmail letter again. If you don't want your true identity revealed to the world, come to KB Security at 1 a.m. on October 12th and bring 50,000. If you don't, I'll take that red diamond you received the other day instead. Alright, I'm going to say... that this is what it contradicts about the no points of contact.
Objection!
Nope. Your Honor, what do you think about the witness's statement?
I'm not sure I follow you.
It clearly contradicts the... I thought...
You don't sound very sure, Mr. Wright. Objection denied.
I don't think that won me any points with the judge. No points of contact with the victim. Alright, let me load. So that way we're not having a... Alright, maybe it was the...
Objection!
No, that wasn't it either. Yeah. Okay, load. Tear of Emanon Jewel. Alright, I'm gonna try presenting the blackmail letter here.
Objection!
Okay, there we go. Mind if I ask you a few questions, Detective Atme?
Well, if it's just a few, I guess it's all right.
When you said that this letter was addressed to Rhonda... Oh, okay, addressed to Rhonda Light. I couldn't help but notice one major contradiction.
Contradiction?
I don't know where a walking contradiction like you gets off saying things like that. You're the one to talk. At times like these, men are made to express themselves with their fists. Why don't you show us what you've got there, Junior?
Indeed, time to man up, Mr. Wright. Show us the contradicting evidence and the content of the blackmail letter.
Contradicting evidence in the blackmail letter? So am I just supposed to present the blackmail letter again? Or am I supposed to present Luke at me? Let me try that.
Take that!
Ha! A little 2-1 punch like that wouldn't even faze me.
Objection!
I think you mean 1-2 punch.
Mr. Wright, try thinking things through before a little more before falling to fault with others.
Ouch, I sure felt that punch, Your Honor. Anyway, let's try reading the blackmail letter one more time. There's got to be something off about it somewhere.
Very well then, Litness. Please proceed with your testimony.
Alright. Alright, let me load that up again. Okay, so Mr. Bullard wrote the black and sent it. Oh, it doesn't say addressed it. It says sent. That would be... Yeah, they could have translated that one better, I think. Let's see here. Present.
Objection!
Alright, and we skip over contradicting evidence in the content of the blackmail letter. Alright, let's see. Alright, let me try the blackmail letter, because it's dumb, but...
Take that! Objection!
That's annoying.
Objection!
Alright. Contradicting evidence in the blackmail letter. Hello there, Spider ZX9. How are you? Alright, if you don't want your true identity revealed to the world, come to KB Security at 1 a.m. on October 12th and bring $50,000. If you don't, I'll take that red diamond you received the other day instead. I can't present the blackmail letter because that didn't work. I can't present Luke at me because that also didn't work. There's no red diamond here. It's a blue one. Just ate pizza. Ooh, that sounds good. I wanted pizza tonight. Alright, so what? Yes, I ate 8 pizzas. No, that's not it. Not it either. Do I present Ron?
Take that! Objection!
No, that's not it either. What the heck? Okay, let's see. Load again. Yeah, no backseat help. Let's see. Okay, present the blackmail letter.
Objection!
Okay, so contradicting evidence of the content of the letter. Well, wait a minute. He's saying that... Okay, so the letter's not addressed to anyone. And Atmy's reasoning for why it's addressed to Ron is because he was mistaken for Mask to Mask in the newspaper clipping. But Atmy is also in the newspaper clipping, so I could use that same evidence to show that it could have been addressed to Atmy.
Well, also, the blackmail letter says that it was a red diamond that you have received, but in this clipping it's blue.
I don't know. take a good look at this newspaper clipping. Oh, there we go. It contains a picture of the Tear of Emanon, the stolen jewel.
What about it?
The problem is this jewel's color. Color? I'm not much for discussing color myself. According to the clipping, the color of the stolen jewel was blue. However, in the blackmail letter, a totally different jewel is mentioned. I'll take that red diamond you received the other day.
Red?
Which means the red diamond described in the blackmail letter is not the Tear of Emanon that Master Mask stole at all. Oh, so that's the logic behind it. Okay, see, here's my problem with how this is presented. I'll take the red diamond you received the other day. Not the red diamond you stole, the red diamond you received. If one is stealing something, they don't receive it. They steal it.
If it was received, then it must have been like, oh, hey, you got this in return for something.
Yeah, exactly. And so the fact that the contradiction here is the diamond's color shouldn't even be on the table, because there should be the contradiction, I'll take the diamond you received as opposed to the diamond you stole. That doesn't make any sense. Anyway.
Objection!
And your point is, Mr. Trite? So you're trying to say that this blackmail letter was intended for someone else? That is what you're trying to say, right, Trite?
That is what you're trying to say, right, Mr. Wright?
Well, that is what you're trying to say, right, Nick? Yes, that is what I'm trying to say. This is who Kane Bullard was actually blackmailing.
Take that!
Naturally, it was you, Detective Atme.
Do you have some sort of basis for that claim?
You've been personally involved in every single mask-to-mask case. And in the last case, you recovered what was stolen and received a jewel as your reward.
A jewel?
Probably the one wrapped conspicuously around your finger. That red diamond ring. That is the diamond referred to in the letter. Which means that Kane Bullard wrote that letter in order to blackmail you. Ah!
Order! Order in the court. Order, I say.
It seems you've gone too far with your childish pranks, Mr. Trite.
Uh-oh, I don't like the way he said that.
Kane Bullard blackmailing Luke at me? Are you for real?
For real? Yes, I am. Nick, come on, stand up to him.
Then answer me this. The blackmail letter contains the following passage. If you don't want your identity revealed to the world,
Yes, it certainly does.
Kane Bullard threatened to make Luke Atme's identity public knowledge. An identity he wanted to keep a secret. So just what was that identity?
Atme killed Kane Bullard because he was afraid of his secret becoming known. What was the identity he wanted to keep secret? This is what it all comes down to, Nick. The identity that Luke Atme wanted so desperately to keep secret was his identity as a blackmailer. Luke Atme was a blackmailer.
Objection!
Hey now, isn't that a little different from what you've been saying? You said that Kane Bullard was the one blackmailing Luke Atme. Are you saying that Atme was blackmailing someone else on top of that?
You have to admit, that does sound a little odd. It's not odd. It's the only thing that makes any sense. Kane Bullard was blackmailing Luke Atme. But Ron Delight was also being blackmailed by a certain someone. So, did you start receiving blackmail letters after this incident? Yes, just a few days after the Tear of Emanon heist. After that, I started getting the plans in the mail. I received plans for some very kind person, incredibly detailed plans.
Detailed plans? In which case, that would mean that Ron Delight was actually mask to mask.
That is what we are claiming. Someone else came up with the plans and had Mr. Delight steal his targets for him. And that someone was none other than Luke Atme. Shh, silence! And now I see it's all becoming clear. What is?
When you were in grade school, you received the same report card every year. Careless, with a tendency to jump to conclusions. Am I wrong?
How did you?
You say that I, Luke Atme, was blackmailing Ron Delight? In which case, I would naturally know all about his relation to Mask to Mask.
Well, yes.
Ron Delight started receiving plans from his second crime onward, correct? Which means I learned of his identity when he committed the first crime.
Good point. You certainly couldn't have blackmailed him otherwise.
In that case, let's see some hot, bitter evidence. During the first crime, how did Luke Atme know that Ron Delight was mask to mask? Do I really have to spell this out for you guys?
Yeah.
It's the newspaper clipping.
Take that!
I think I see it.
See what?
When you were in grade school, you received the same report card every year. Gets into lots of mischief, trying to be the center of attention.
What? What do you mean?
This newspaper clipping. It has a picture of you and Ron Delight in his guard uniform. It seems that Mask to Mask didn't just disappear into thin air. He just took off his outfit and hid it in a bucket.
That sounds far too stupid to be true.
Correct. With tricks like that, he couldn't fool a baby, let alone an ace detective. And that's when you figured it out, Mr. Atme. That's when you learned that under his mask, Mask to Mask was really Ron Delight.
What? Wasn't he supposed to be mask to mask? Not only that, but it looks like he wasn't even an ace detective.
I can't believe it. He was just a slimy blackmailer. What a fraud, trying to pass himself off as an ace detective.
Why, how dare you expose me like that? Why, I mean, I never blackmailed anyone in my life. I'm a famous and proud ace detective, and also Mask to Mask. Why can't you understand that?
I'm afraid you are neither a proud thief nor an ace detective. You're a blackmailer and a murderer. That is your true identity.
Why, you? How dare you? Why don't you try something yourself? Don't think about your field fools. I say none of you can become better my duties. You're all just jealous. So go desecrate me, commemorate me. This murder. I'll get away with it. It's enough to make one laugh.
It would seem we'd finally arrived at the real answer.
It was quite a performance by Mr. Atme.
Bailiff, please prepare yourself for Mr. Atme.
Objection!
The hammer that strikes too fast has no time to aim.
What do you mean? I'm already prepared to deliver my ruling.
Allow me to say one thing. I will be the one to judge. You don't get much more in your face than that. It appears that your claws weren't quite sharp enough, Mr. Trite. What do you... It's true that you've proven a lot of things. Things like Luke Atme was a filthy blackmailer, and that he wasn't at Lordly Taylor the night of the murder. That's right, that's why he was the one who killed Mr. Bull... But... there's still one thing you have yet to prove.
What's that?
Just because he wasn't in the warehouse doesn't mean he was at the murder scene. Therefore, if you can't prove that this pitiful excuse for a man was a KB security, then I don't see how a verdict can be delivered. No way!
Order! Order in the court! Well, Mr. Wright?
This is it. This is the final round. I've got to prove that Atme was at Mr. Bullard's office on that night. But can you really prove that?
That's long enough. Mr. Wright, I want to hear your answer.
That night, Luke Atme was at KB Security, and the defense... Can I prove that Luke Atme was at KB Security? Found on a table at the crime scene. Huh. I can't prove it, I don't think. I can't prove it.
Just as I thought.
But if we hear more of Detective Atme's testimony...
Objection.
Unfortunately, that's as far as you go, Mr. Wright.
What do you mean?
I won't allow for any more testimony. That's what I mean.
What?
Have you forgotten? Luke Atme is here after we interrupted his own trial. And you have failed to prove that he committed the murder. I think it's time for this witness to return to his own trial and face his guilty verdict as Master Mask.
No.
Well now, Sir Lawyer, it seems love wins out in the end after all. I am the ace detective as well as Master Mask. My verdict will verify that. Just as Ron's delights will verify that he is the true murderer. I declare that with the full force of my ace detectiveness.
Order! Order in the court. That is enough deliberation over this witness.
I can't believe this. At this rate, Ron is... Don't give up now, Nick. We still have tomorrow. We can look for more evidence and...
By then, it'll be too late.
Huh? Why?
Double jeopardy. One of the basic rules of any court of law.
Double jeopardy?
Should a defendant be tried and found innocent in court, that defendant cannot be tried again for the same crime. This is a fundamental rule of all courts, and it applies to this witness as much as it applies to anyone else.
Mr. Atme will be found guilty in a matter of minutes. Guilty as Master Mask, which means...
He will be innocent as far as the murder of Kane Bullard is concerned.
I don't think that's how double jeopardy works, but okay. No way.
The fact that you were unable to prove Mr. Atme's guilt of that crime here, it means that he will never again be tried as Kane Bullard's murderer.
Ah!
Oh, I remember that pose.
Now there's nothing I can possibly do to win. Even if Ron is proclaimed to be innocent, the real killer, Luke Atme, will go free.
You have cross-examined every statement the witness has made here today, and as long as there's no more testimony, I'm afraid I have to declare there will be no further questioning of this witness. Are there any objections? And I hereby end the cross-examination of Luke Atme.
Objection!
I think I see it. Your Honor, when you were a child, this was on your report, what was on your report card every year. Has poor hearing and often makes mistakes as a result.
How did you...
Phoenix, raise your head up high. Have you forgotten what I used to tell you? A lawyer is someone who smiles no matter how bad it gets.
That voice. No way.
Long time no see, Phoenix. Mia! This is the true power of the Karine channeling technique. I know that it's really Maya who's standing before me, but right now she's my mentor, Mia Fey. You know, in case you guys didn't play the last game. Now, let's do this. But there's nothing more we can do, Mia. Without any more testimony, I can't cross-examine. Not yet. Testimony's not over yet. But what do you mean? Your Honor, just now you said something very interesting. You have cross-examined every statement the witness has made here today.
Yes, that's true, but...
Unfortunately, Your Honor, you're forgetting something. Earlier, after the last cross-examination, this witness made a number of remarks.
Well now, Sir Lawyer, it seems that love wins out in the end after all. I am the ace detective as well as Master Mask. My verdict will verify that, just as Ron Delights will verify that he is the true murderer. I declare that with the full force of my ace detectiveness.
Yes, but these comments appear to have no importance whatsoever.
Very well, then we shall prove their importance via cross-examination. At any rate, as long as the witness has made these remarks, we, the defense, assert our right to question them. Is that all right with you, prosecutor?
Is something the matter, Mr. Godot?
Nothing. Oh, Sir Lawyer, it looks like you're one step too late. If you think such falsehoods would do anything to me, look at... Let's hear it. Huh? It's true that the witness made some remarks. So then, let's hear this last bit of cross-examination. Mr. Godot, what are you...
Very well then. Mr. Look at me. I'm going to allow the defense to cross-examine your earlier remarks.
The defense would like to hear why you declared the defendant to be the true murderer.
So please give us one last bit of testimony.
Phoenix, this is it. This is our absolute last chance. Yes, Chief.
Indeed, it is true that I was not at Lordly Taylor. I had leave to see about another vitally important job request. I had known about the date beforehand, so I had this photograph readied. My brilliant deduction was what informed me that the true culprit was Ron Delight. And thanks to the key card and wallet, it was abundantly clear that he was there. I was also able to make a deduction from the buzzer, which only sounded once. The button did not have any fingerprints on it. Why? The victim would have left prints if he sounded it, which means the killer sounded it. Mr. Delight was wearing his Master Mask outfit, which is why he left no prints.
How did he know it was Master Mask?
Hmm?
How did Luke know Ron was Master Mask?
What do you mean?
So, if Look at Me wasn't there at the scene of the murder, how did he know that Ron was wearing his Master Mask outfit?
Well, couldn't he have heard about it, simply?
No.
Why?
How did he there?
Well, why did he have to be there? Well, we know about it. We weren't there.
Right, because, but here's the other thing. Luke actually wasn't in the room when Ron had his testimony. He was in the other room.
Exactly. Thank you for explaining your reasoning so succinctly.
It was Roundabout this time?
Well, I mean, I was trying to get you to verify that you knew what you were talking about and why.
Oh.
And the blackmail letter, the victim likely just mistook the color of the jewel. Savari! Therefore, all the evidence points to that poor boy.
His testimony actually seems to hold up pretty well.
No, it doesn't, Phoenix.
Oh, right. Spider ZX9 can't hear us. He's using auto captioning. The person who is talking on the other end is my wife.
Hi, I am the tired pierogi.
That was her just now. So. This testimony actually seems to hold up pretty well.
The witness's earlier remarks do not appear to have been hastily prepared. All of his points have been explained, and none of them seem to contradict anything.
But of course,
But how did you know about the emergency buzzer?
the police investigation documents went directly through me, and I always look over all the documents. It's elementary, Sir Lawyer. Are you going to make even more trouble for us now, Sir Lawyer?
I will not allow any of your usual shenanigans, Mr. Wright.
Yes, Your Honor.
You cannot postpone Luke Atmey's trial any longer. This is your last chance.
Dun dun dun.
No, you're fine, Spider. Hang on a sec. Just one chance?
Ha! It seems that the party's about to begin.
Well, Phoenix, there isn't any evidence that contradicts with that testimony. So it would seem. What do you mean, so it would seem? Listen, Phoenix, pointing out contradictions doesn't always mean you have to present evidence, does it? At any rate, this is our last chance. If you can't point out a case-breaking contradiction, you lose. That's all there is to it. Thank you, Reeve. Cup number 17, the last cup. It seems like the time has come to put an end to this trial. I have to find a fatal contradiction in this testimony, and I need to point it out without presenting evidence. Which means all I can do is find the contradictory remark and press it. Remember, you only get one chance.
Very well then, Mr. Wright. Please begin your final cross-examination.
Indeed, it is true that I was not at Lordly Taylor. I had to leave to see about another vitally important job request. I had known about the date beforehand, so I had this photograph readied. My brilliant deduction was what informed me that the true culprit was Ron Delight. And thanks to the keycard and wallet, it was abundantly clear that he was there. I was also able to make a deduction from the buzzer, which only sounded once. The button did not have any fingerprints on it. Why? The victim would have left prints if he sounded it, which means the killer sounded it. Mr. Delight was wearing his Master Mask outfit, which was why he left no prints.
Hold it!
Mr. Atme, about this last remark,
Objection!
you still don't get it, do you, Trite? This isn't the time to be pressing the witness on every little statement. I'm afraid you're the one who still doesn't get it, Mr. Godot. What? Mr. Atme, it seems you finally admitted that you were in the CEO's office on the night of the murder.
How can you say that?
Let's review your testimony, shall we, Mr. Atme? The button did not have any fingerprints on it. Why? Mr. Delight was wearing his Master Mask outfit. Is that correct?
Indeed, that's what I said. My deductions are absolutely foolproof.
More like your deductions prove that you're a fool. Oh, that's a good line.
I'm sorry, whatever do you mean? For some reason, I'm starting to get really thirsty.
When exactly did we learn the fact that Ron Delight was dressed as Master Mask when he went to the scene of the crime?
That was,
It was just a few hours ago. Back when my sixth cup was looking at me with a cold stare.
Huh? Oh, did I forget to mention it before? I'm sorry, I just never had a chance to mention it up until now.
That's right, the defendant had yet to tell anyone else this fact before this morning. Therefore, the only people who should know this are those who have been watching this trial. Do you understand now, Detective Atme? There is no way that you should have known about that. You were in the next courtroom being tried as Master Mask. So then, enlighten us. Just how did you know about that piece of information?
Well,
Objection!
come on, this detective must have known about it. He probably had plenty of chances to find out beforehand.
Objection!
And it's those chances that I want to discuss next. That night, Mr. Delight was wearing his Master Mask outfit. There is one and only one way for Detective Atme to have found that out.
only
One way, you say?
Please recall, if you will, Mr. Delight's testimony.
When I entered the office, there was a suspicious shadow there.
For a second, my client witnessed the real killer,
Objection!
but Mr. Delight never saw his attacker, so there's no way to tell whether or not the real killer was Luke Atme.
Objection!
It's with that statement that I'll turn this case on its head. Just what are you implying? Mr. Delight saw the real killer, correct? Now, if you turn that statement around, it stands to reason that the real killer had also seen Ron Delight.
Impossible!
Detective Atme, you saw Master Mask at the murder scene that night. You saw him when you killed Kane Bullard and assaulted Ron Delight. That was the only way you could have known what Ron was wearing.
Take a good look, everyone. Unable to find a rival worthy of my genius, I was forced to create one by myself. Here I am, the tragic clown.
That's the same line you gave yesterday.
But I think there's a little more meaning behind it this time. We'll be back, have a good rest of the stream, have one errand to do tonight. We'll be wrapping this one up pretty soon, so if you're not back by the time we're done, that's understandable. But we hope to see you again soon if we do close before you get back.
What an awfully complicated incident. Kane Bullard was blackmailing Luke Atme, who was in turn blackmailing Ron Delight. And upon killing his blackmailer, Luke Atme tried to frame Ron Delight. He then claimed to be guilty as Master Mask in order to escape his true crime.
And to that end, he came up with this plan, to use the double jeopardy rule when making his alibi.
At any rate, it would seem we finally found the truth.
Excuse me.
I came perilously close to besmirching the record of an innocent young man, besmirching him with the title of murderer.
Don't ignore me!
Oh, I didn't realize you were there.
Why wouldn't he be?
About the verdict.
I know, you've never committed any murder.
That's right. I'm so glad you understand that, but I really am Master Mask!
Huh?
So, thanks to that trial yesterday, I'm innocent now, right? What was it you said? Double jeopardy?
Now that you mention it,
I've been careless. Careless? What do you think, Mia? As the defendant says, the rule of double jeopardy is absolute. A defendant can never be tried twice for a crime in which he was once found innocent. Then, Master Mask is really innocent? It would seem so. For now. For now?
and now then, this court finds the defendant...
Boy, this is really lucky. Wait, this isn't so good after all. You see, the thing is, I still am Master Mask after all. You did it, Phoenix. Thanks, Mia. It's been a long time, hasn't it? Yeah, it's because Maya doesn't call on me much these days. Oh? I'm just joking, Phoenix. Don't take everything so seriously. But on the other hand, Maya, she seems kind of torn these days. You mean about becoming the master of the Karine channeling school? Becoming the master means saying goodbye to our mother. Misty Faye, right? Watch over her, will you, Phoenix? Of course. Well then, see you around. Mia. Mr. Wright? I don't know what to say. Congratulations, Mr. Delight. Thank you so much. No, wait. Nothing really matters anymore, though, now that all this has happened. Come on, just be happy already. Maya, you've been cleared of the murder charges and got off as Master Mask to boot. But in exchange, I lost everything. Huh? What do you mean? Stealing security information from KB Security? Becoming Master Mask? I did it all for one reason, for her. You mean your wife, Desiree? She hates criminals more than anything. Come to think of it, she was once held hostage by some robbers, wasn't she? She always said how she hated sneaky criminals. I knew that. I knew that, but once I got fired from KB Security and lost all the money I had, she wouldn't have any reason to stay with me. I thought she would leave me for sure. So that's why you became Master Mask? Yes, but It's all over now. Broken bowl can never be put back together! That's not true, right, Nick?
Right.
Really? Can we go back to the way things were?
You'll be fine, and Nick can prove it. I can?
I kind of wish you would check with me first.
Mr. Delight, even if a bowl is broken, there's always a way to put it back together. As proof. I mean, you have to earn it, though.
Take that!
The sacred urn. Desi was the one who found this.
Desiree, your wife, she always believed in you, Ron. That's why you'll be fine. You don't have to worry about anything.
Ah, there you are.
Miss Delight.
You did it, Ronnie. You're innocent. I'm so happy. Thank you. I appreciate that. But, I suppose you don't want anything more to do with me, do you?
Ronnie, why didn't you talk to me about what was going on?
I had no idea you'd quit KB Security.
I never imagined that you were really mask to mask either.
And Miss Delight, what are you going to do now that you know? You're not going to really leave him, are you?
Come on, it's obvious, isn't it? How could I ever let a wonderful man like him get away? After all, my bike's really fast. So fast there's no way he could ever get away. But didn't you say that you hated criminals? Oh, I only hate people who act all cowardly and sneaky. Like that detective. I see. Why, Ronnie went and declared his crimes before he committed them, like a man. I just love a man who's so chivalrous. Chivalrous? I knew I was right about you. Every day I spend with you is filled with thrills and excitement.
Desi.
Desiree. You really do love Ron, don't you?
Nicky boy?
Yes?
I'm really glad I asked you to defend my Ronnie. Thank you so much. I'll never forget what you've done for us.
Oh, well, take care of yourself.
You too, Nicky boy. I can feel my face going red.
Mr. Nick! Mystic Maya! Congratulations! Talk about bad timing. Mr. Nick, how could you? With another man's wife, in front of Mystic Maya! No, you've got it all. I'll never forget, never, ever! So, just as the case came to close, so too did my life. I mean, my consciousness. Ron said a broken bowl can never be put back together. I just hope my broken face can. No, but I know that's not true. I mean, just look. Here's a perfect example of one that was put back together even better than before. Yeah, it does look a lot better this time around. Okay, brand new episode has been added. Saving. Okay, let me do something real quick here. One moment. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and drop in on Icky Swashbuckler. She is streaming Dead by Daylight, so if that's not your thing, feel free to lurk, or just, you can duck out as well. But I do want to give her a raid since it's been a minute. In the meantime, this is Dr. Novelle signing out for the evening. I will be back on Sunday with more Final Fantasy VII. I think we're getting close to the end because I've only got a couple of huge materia left. But, yeah, we'll be starting the third case, Recipe for Turnabout, next Wednesday. But yeah, this is Dr. Novelle signing out. Y'all have a good one. Let us begin the raid.